Welcome to the Masculine Throne. I'm your host, Trey Morgan, and today we are talking about how to replace your insecurities with masculine confidence. Now, the first step is to get honest with yourself and identify your insecurities and your limiting beliefs. Your insecurities are essentially things that you feel uncertain about, you feel anxiety about, areas that you're lacking in confidence, right? And your limiting beliefs are thoughts or states of mind that you think are absolute truth, but they stop you from doing certain things. So your insecurities, your limiting beliefs, these are weaknesses. These are things that are holding you back from being your best self, from being your most masculine, confident, grounded self. So you want to identify what these are. It could be things about the way you look. It could be, feeling like you're not good enough, right? You're not tall enough. You're not this enough. You don't have the best clothes. You're not making enough money. These are all things that may bring up uncertainty or anxiety about yourself, or areas you may be lacking in confidence, or areas that you think, are a big deal, but are actually not, they're not true. They're not the absolute truth, essentially. Like, they're a perspective, right? They're a perspective, or like we're saying here, it's limiting belief. It's a belief, but it limits you. So what we want to do is we want to get clear on what these are, because I'm going to tell you how you can overcome these insecurities. So you want to make a list, right? If I'm going back to some of the insecurities I used to have insecurities around, I used to think my lips were too big, that girls wouldn't like me because my lips were too big. I used to think I was too dark, like too black at one point. At one point, I used to think what I had to say wasn't valuable, wasn't important, right? These are all insecurities and limiting beliefs. So I had to list them. I had to identify and get clear on what these are. So that's what you need to do. Once you make that list, then you have to ask yourself, is this limiting belief true, or is it false, right? Now, how do you know if it's true or if it's false? You have to do some research, and you have to look at your references and really put yourself out there to see, is this really true, or is it a limiting belief? Is it false? Now, let's say it's true. Like, for example, let's say, right, like you think, oh, I'm out of shape, so women won't like me, for example, right? There's some truth to that, right? Like, if you're out of shape, you're not as attractive as you'd be if you were in shape, right? That's true. But you can reframe it, right? You can say, I may be out of shape, but I'm funny. I may be out of shape, but I'm intelligent. Or I may be out of shape, but I'm working on getting in shape. Instead of focusing on, oh, I have this insecurity or this challenge, and so I can't, get the result I want. It's like, okay, I may have this, but what do I have going for me? Or what am I doing about it? You see what I'm saying? You reframe it. You look at it differently, right? Or you could even, find guys who are like succeeding despite having that same, challenge, right? So let's say you think you're out of shape, right? And you can't get girls. Well, look online, do some research. You'll see that there are guys who are out of shape who are getting women, right? You can also just go to the mall or the grocery store and really open your eyes and really be open to the idea that, wait, what if there are some guys out there who are out of shape who are getting women, right? Now, this is just, an example, but even the good thing about something like this, for example, like being out of shape, you can actually improve that, right? But let's use another example. Like, for example, my lips, right? The size of my lips. At one point, I was insecure about that, right? Oh, my lips are too big. I can't get a girl. So what I had to do was I had to find examples of guys who had big lips who were getting girls, right? You look at Jay-Z. right? You look at Notorious B.I.G. You look at LL Cool J. You also have like, it doesn't have to be celebrities. It could be people like around you. I remember like observing guys in my high school at the time. That's when I had the insecurity. And I started to notice, oh, there's actually guys in my high school who have big lips and they were getting girls, you know? So I started to see that, this is actually not true. You know, it is a limiting belief, and I need to just see it as that, you know? But if it was true, I could reframe it. I could say, well, you know, I may have big lips, but I have a great physique, or I may have big lips, but you know, there's people who have, you know, who are out of shape, or who have a big nose, or have a bit, you know, and they're still getting girls. Like I could find examples of guys who have similar challenges, maybe not the same exact one, but they're still getting the result. Or maybe guys who have are in worse situations that are still getting the result, right? Like I remember one limiting belief that some clients and guys that I know have. They think, oh, if I don't have like a certain amount of money, or if I don't have a car, or I don't have, you know, yeah, I don't have a car, I can't get girls. But there's examples of guys who are broke, you know, who don't have a car, you know, who are, you know, don't have their shit together, and they're getting women left and right. So that is obviously another limiting belief, right? Not to say that you should like not get a car and not improve your situation, but to say that you can't get a girl, or you can't have success because you don't have you're not in a certain condition, is just not true. You can be resourceful, you can make it work, while you are improving your situation. Okay. So a lot of this is doing research, and once you find proof that you're dealing with a limiting belief, you want to immerse yourself in either the reframe or the truth. So if you found that, for example, with me, guys with big lips do get women, right? I could put a picture of Jay-Z with Beyonce on my wallpaper, on my laptop. I could put it on the screen on my phone, put up posters. You know, I can surround myself with it. You know, I could watch videos of Jay-Z with Beyonce. You know, you can do like, just immerse yourself in what the reality that you want to create, right? So instead of immersing yourself in the fact that, oh, yeah, guys who usually get girls don't have big lips, or they usually have rock hard abs or what. Instead of focusing on that, you focus on the reframe, or the actual truth, which is, yeah, maybe some girls do go for the rock hard abs. Some girls do rather a guy with thinner lips, but there are some girls who like a guy who just has a regular physique, or there are some girls who do like a guy who has big lips. You know, and then you find these examples and you immerse yourself in them. You can also use visualization and affirmations, like see yourself having success, you know, with your challenge. Like me with my big lips, I can see myself, I could do a meditation and see myself with a girl, and the girl is like all over me, and she loves my lips, and she loves everything about me, right? I can do that, you know, and they'll start to believe it, right? You're starting to train your brain and wire your subconscious mind with a new program, right? New thoughts, new feelings, which will lead to new behaviors. Now, the thing about insecurities, they'll come to the surface when you're interacting with women, because women, it's like they're basic. It's like, yeah, it's like they're designed to poke at your insecurities. It's like they have this thing in them. The feminine energy it's supposed to find holes in the masculine. You know, it's supposed to challenge the masculine to see how strong it is, and you know, if it truly is that grounded order that can handle her, you know, feminine energy, the chaos of her feminine energy. So she has to poke holes and find your insecurities. And it's actually good for you, because the more you find your insecurities and limiting beliefs and overcome them, the stronger your character becomes, which means the more attractive you become. So you basically want to identify these limiting beliefs and insecurities, and then become a master of reframing these limiting beliefs in your favor. So yeah, I gave you some examples. See if I can think of another one. Yeah, like I used to at one point think like, oh, if you're too dark, girls are not gonna want you, because I focused on the girls who are going for the light skinned guys. But there's actually some girls who really love dark skinned guys, right? And so I had to focus on that, right? And so I would look at, you know, guys who were dark skinned who were doing well with women. I'd focus on that instead of focusing on the fact that light skinned guys were doing well. I'd focus on the dark skinned guys who were doing well, because there were some. It's just we have this weird thing where we like to focus on like the negative, focus on the things that are not working for us. So we don't have to take as much responsibility, right? We don't have to improve, and we don't have to, but I just, my thing is I want to get the results. I want to live a better life. I want to improve. So I just got to a point where I just started doing whatever it takes to get there. So this is something you're going to have to do. So you're going to have to learn how to deal with your insecurities and overcome them, right? If you just hold on to them and don't do anything about them, you're just going to stay the same, right? Nothing's going to change. So you have to find these insecurities, limiting beliefs, and overcome them, right? Now stereotypes, right? You have good stereotypes and bad stereotypes. Like, a good stereotype about me being a black man would be, black men are strong and they're athletic, and they're they tend to not care, not be as politically correct and stuff like that. And I can leverage that to my advantage. But they also have some negative stereotypes, like, oh, black people are criminals and like to steal and like to, do the wrong thing or whatever. So what I do is I take on the positive ones, like, yeah, I am athletic, I'm strong, yeah, I'm whatever, right? And then the negative ones, I go against those, right? So instead of me being a criminal, I'll carry myself like a sophisticated man that, has morals and ethics, right? So what does that do? It makes me stand out, right? They say, oh, black people, all they do is, you know, wear big chains and this and that or whatever. So I may not go that route. I may go to a different route, just to show, like, hey, I'm not in your stereotype. You're wrong, actually. And you can do that with your stereotypes too. It's like the positive ones, the good ones, like, leverage those, and then the ones that are negative, just discard them. Don't associate with them. And then this makes you stand out. This makes you unique, because now they're like, oh, this is not the typical whatever, right? This is like this guy's different. Create an environment that reinforces the empowering belief and destroys the limiting belief. So essentially what we're doing here is we finding these limiting beliefs, and we're coming up with more empowering beliefs, right? So like I said, instead of me thinking, oh, my lips are too big, I can't, the girls aren't gonna like that, I find references and examples of guys with big lips who are doing well. And now it's like, well, actually women love guys with big lips, right? Look at this guy, look at that guy, look at that guy, look at this example, right? So you find examples, or you reframe, you say, well, I may have big lips, but there's guys who are, disfigured or missing a limb or blind or deaf, and they're able to get a woman. So if they're in these more difficult situations, my situation's actually not that bad. So I can certainly get a girl, right? That's a reframe. So you focus on a more empowering belief. And anything that's feeding limiting beliefs, you cut them off, right? So if you have people spewing negative things in your head, the news, what you're watching, the media, social media is like, has a lot of negativity and stereotyping and all that stuff. Cut that stuff off and focus on the positive. Only listen to or read things that reinforce and amplify your empowering beliefs. Now, the process of identifying limiting beliefs and overcoming them will lead to masculine confidence and ultimately make you more attractive to women. So masculine confidence is basically the result of overcoming a limiting belief. Every time you overcome a limiting belief, you become more confident and more masculine. When I say more masculine, I mean you become more assertive, you become more dominant, you become more focused, more capable of creating certain results, because you're no longer limited by that belief, right? A limiting belief is literally a limit on what you're able to do mentally, emotionally, and physically, right? So you remove that, and it's replaced with masculine confidence. Now, the reason you become more attractive when you overcome your insecurities is because this process builds your emotional strength. It makes you more grounded in your masculinity, which means you're more able to handle higher levels of tension, and it makes you more authentic in your self-expression. So these are all attractive qualities, right? These are all strong qualities that a woman, if she was to have your child, she would want her children to inherit these qualities, right? She'd want her children to have emotional strength, right? If she's having a son, obviously, she'd want him to be grounded in this masculinity, right? And authentic in his self-expression. These that you're demonstrating, you have quality genes. If you demonstrate these qualities in your way you carry yourself and express yourself. So the key here is to be honest about where you are and to face your insecurities head on instead of try to hide them. The reason why most people stay the same and they find themselves going in circles is because they're trying to hide their insecurities, right? They're trying to brush them under the rug. And what they don't realize is this limits your potential, right? If you have an insecurity, right, or a limiting belief, that's why it's called a limiting belief. It limits you, it holds you back, it puts you in a box. And until you break out of that box, your situation, you can't expect it to change, right? How do you know when you've overcome an insecurity, right? This how you know. When you no longer are emotionally affected by it, right? Or the emotion changes. So for example, there was a time where I was negatively emotionally affected by the how big my lips were, right? Like I'd look in the mirror or I'd hear somebody say something about my lips and I would experience a negative emotion. Right? Now somebody talks about my lips, I won't experience any emotion. I'll just be indifferent. I'll be like, okay, who cares, you know? Like, I have big lips, but it just doesn't matter. Like it can work for me, it may work against me, like, but I'm just not attached to any emotions around it because I know the reality. Like there's some guys who get girls who have big lips and there's some guys who get girls who have thin lips. It is what it is. I'm just going to put my best foot forward and attract the women who are into me. And that's the end of it. Right. So you see, there's no emotional attachment. That shows that I've overcome the insecurity. Right. Whereas before, literally, if somebody said something about my lips, I would feel a negative emotion. I would feel a slight depression or a sadness or some kind of negative emotion. And that shows that it was an insecurity. But once you no longer have those negative emotions, you can now say, okay, yeah, I've overcome that. So what you want to do is look for emotional triggers in your interactions and sit in the emotion. Don't run away from it. Somebody says something or does something and it triggers you emotionally. You want to sit in that emotion and ask yourself, why am I feeling this emotion? Why, how come when this guy says I have big lips, I start doubting myself and I start feeling like nothing? Why is that? There's a limiting belief there and I have to work on that. Right. And that's what I did. And how are you interpreting the situation? Like, why are you taking this guy so seriously? Maybe another part to it is maybe you care too much what people think, right? Why should somebody's opinion about you bring you down? If somebody thinks you have big lips, so what? Right? How are you interpreting the situation? You may have other people on a pedestal above yourself. And that may be a limiting belief. Like, why do you believe that other people are more valuable than that other people's opinions are more valuable than your opinion? That might be the limiting belief you need to work on as well. Right? So your interpretation is what creates the emotion. You change the interpretation, the emotion will change. So if you see it differently, right? If you see your lips differently, or you see your weight differently, or you see your height differently, the emotion will change, right? You can start to see it as, like for example, if you're a shorter guy, you can see it as, oh, I'm a shorter guy, but if I get a girl, that means I'm really the man, because I have this challenge working against me and I could still get the girl, right? So you could see it as like something that makes you more powerful, stronger than the other guy, because you have something working against you and you still are going to do what it takes to get the result, right? So you must have some other qualities that overshine the weakness, right? And sometimes if you really work on these other qualities, your whatever your weakness is, people won't even notice it anymore. Like, I don't even know if people notice I have big lips, right? And if they do, they're like, it's just like whatever. Like, okay, he has big lips and that's the end of it. There's no it's not like this big deal where it used to be a big deal because I made it a big deal. I had some negative outlook on it, right? And so other people, I was projecting that onto others, and others would notice it too, and they would make remarks on it. But now it's like nobody's worried. It's not even really something that comes up. I'm only bringing it up just to give you an example in this video. So every time you overcome an insecurity, you gain more emotional strength and you become more authentic, which will make you more attractive. Okay, so this is something you should make a part of your life, is just find these insecurities and overcome them, because you're going to become more attractive. You're going to become more emotionally strong, more emotionally independent, more grounded, right? More relaxed, right? And more confident. And this is going to make you more attractive. And not only will you become more attractive, you'll enjoy more elevated emotional states and achieve a higher vibrational frequency, right? So once I overcame my insecurity of my lips, I started operating at a higher vibrational frequency, meaning I would experience more elevated emotional states, right? I'd be happier more often. I'd be joyful more often. I'd be content more often because I no longer had that insecurity. So don't be ashamed of your insecurities. Face them and overcome them, right? I'm telling you, if you do this, you're consistent, you'll become more masculine and more confident, which means you'll become more attractive to women. And it's okay to have insecurities. Like, don't feel like there's something wrong with you. Everyone has insecurities. No matter how hard people try to front and pretend like they're perfect, they have insecurities. They have limiting beliefs that they're working on, right? And some people are more authentic and honest about it, and others are like putting up a front. But just know that it's the human condition. We're all dealing with this stuff. But as long as you're progressing and overcoming them, that's all that matters. Right? That's the thing. Like, that's what you should be proud of, is the fact that you're doing something about it, as opposed to just, being a victim. And issue, like I said, is like people lying to themselves, not being honest, acting as if they don't have the insecurity by putting on a front or a mask. Like I said, if you do that, what you'll do is you'll limit your potential in life. You'll stay the same, right? No matter how hard you try to cover it up, people will see through it, right? When the time comes, people will see through it. You may be able to fool somebody for a short period of time, but you're not gonna get past it, especially with women. Like, a woman is literally like designed to identify your weaknesses and your insecurities and stuff. So you're not gonna be able to hide it. Some guys, they think they can just go to the club and drink and have that liquid courage, and that's gonna get the girl. And hey, you may get her for the night, but eventually she's gonna notice your insecurities and that you're not really that grounded masculine man she thought you were, and the relationship's gonna come to an end, right? So it's better for you to build your character with a real foundation. Build a real strength. Build real strength in your character. Build real attributes, not temporary attributes, or attributes that are dependent on a crutch. Like, you need something else to be a certain type of way. It's like, no, build the real confidence so you can get the real results that come with that. Real lasting results. Be honest with yourself and you'll gain real power, real masculine expression, and self-confidence. So this is the key. This is the key to becoming a true grounded masculine man, is honesty. Being honest with yourself and honest with the fact that you do have insecurities and limiting beliefs, and overcome them. Don't try to hide them. Like, be open about it, and do what you need to do to overcome them. Like, learn how to reframe, learn how to do your research and identify, is this a really true, or is it a limiting belief? Is it bullshit? And if it's bullshit, then be aware of that, and find the truth and live by the truth. All right. Cool. So are you being honest with yourself? How about try being honest with yourself right now? Are you going to apply what you learned here, or do you need help? Right? A lot of people know what they need to do, but they're not doing it because they need help. They need guidance and accountability and feedback and supports, right? And so that's why I'm providing guidance, right? If you'd like me to guide you and hold you accountable through an efficient process that will help you become a grounded masculine man who can naturally attract beautiful women who meet your standards, you can private message me or comment a track below, and we'll have a conversation about how we could potentially work together. We'll more than likely start with a quick 15-minute call, and I'll give you some tips, some things you can do specific to your situation to overcome your insecurities and develop masculine confidence. And then if you want to work together long term to really tackle this part of your life, become the most attractive version of yourself, and attract the women that you want in your life, then we can make that happen. All right. So you either private message me or comment attract below. All right. Thanks for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.